DJ Kearny to my left, your right on your screen. DJ's a known DJ for a long, long time. Great wine educator, wine traveler, wine judge. Just got back from the Sydney show. 2,000 wines, 8-9 hours a day. But I just got back from another wine show, and I talked to DJ about this yesterday, and I said, let's do a video on this. So I was in Montreal this past weekend to attend the Raw Wine Fair and go see a Habs game. Just happened to be on at the same time. So Raw Wine is an organization and a movement really started by Isabelle Lejean, a master of wine. And, you know, this natural wine, real wine, biodynamic movement, when I first got into business 36, 7, 8 years ago, I would bring in, there's this one wine from the Macon I bring in, and it was $19. And it was easily double the price. And I said to people, it's biodynamic. And they go, what's that? And I would explain it to them. And they thought they were looking for horns growing out of my head.
Right, viticultural voodoo.
Viticultural voodoo, exactly. I mean, you know, smoking some stuff on the side. Today, we're talking about it in underground wine cellars in Bordeaux or in Burgundy or at the bistro in France. Now it's become common.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say mainstream yet, but it's perforated the psyche of the regular wine drinker.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's an entity now.
And Isabelle started this Raw Wine Fair. There's a show in Berlin, Toronto, Montreal, Los Angeles, London. I went to that one also many, many years ago. Now, to give some context, I found some great wines in Montreal, but to give you some context, I went to the LA one 5-6 years ago, and I must have tasted 250 wines. I found 2 wines that I bring into the store.
That's
not great.
That's a low strike rate.
Very, very, very low. A lot of flawed wines. But in the 5 years of going to, since the show, the quality is it's done this. Now, you just did a natural wine seminar at Cornucopia. So let's talk about it.
I did. It had, it had a small audience as I would expect. We were looking at the freeform wines that had participated in Raw since the very beginning.
Right.
So they're made at Okanagan Crush Pad, and you know the whole idea of natural wine, and it's not regulated, right? There are no rules to follow. It's really nothing added and nothing taken away. And you know, this movement really started in the early 1900s with a French producer called Jules Chauvet. And people have been sort of secretly, experimentally, quietly making wine the way the ancients did before we had shit to add. And Isabelle is the one who really has brought it to the fore so brilliantly. You know, the wines, what I've learned over the years is that these wines are not easy to make. It takes an awful lot of knowledge and experience to have the courage to do nothing, to just oversee the wines and know when and if you can intervene.
That comes with experience, probably 10 years of experience, screwing up, making great wine and going back to figure out how did I make that, and then realizing over that 10 or 15 year span, that aha moment. But unless you have a mentor, it doesn't come off, it doesn't happen right away.
Yeah, and I think you also have to have tasted really great natural wines to know what the parameters are and how great they can be. When you have great wines that have no additives, and remember the foundation is at least organic in the vineyard, and hopefully biodynamic. So you're farming very purely, you have pristine grapes, you bring them into the winery, and then you do nothing except a modicum of sulfur, which is allowed or not.
It's usually, in Isabelle's thing, it's up to 70 parts. Which, like, let's just be frank. All wine has elemental sulfurs in the ground. It's released upon fermentation.
At least 10 parts per million.
Exactly.
Just because of fermentation.
Correct. And in the United States, the law says if it's more than 10 parts per million, you have to say it contains sulfites. So by default, every wine has it. And then there's free and bound. We won't get into that. So, but the quality improvement has been exceptional over the in the 5 years, and I found some really cool wines from Beaujolais, Sardinia, some Frank Corda.
Yeah.
And we look forward to bringing them to contact them and bring them in. But be careful, because one, they're expensive to produce. They're a ton of labor. Some people just use horses.
Mm-hmm.
They don't use any plow. They to plow. They don't use any mechanized. So there's much more labor involved. Less grapes per hectare.
Right.
And the other economic factor that you have to point is it's got to support a family.
Right.
And usually it's 3 generations, meaning the guy or the gal making the wine, the kids, or the grandfather and the grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to have a certain price point, right? You're not
Mm-hmm.
to find a $10 organic wine. That's pretty hard.
Yeah. So I mean, a natural wine for $10 is unheard of. You also have to take care of them in the supply chain.
Yes.
Right? They have to travel, often refrigerated. The consumer has to know A, what they're buying, and B, how to look after it when they get home.
Yep.
And we're sort of using this word raw as a catch-all for organic, biodynamic, no sulfur orange wine. So there's quite a range of them.
Correct.
And sometimes they're just downright foul and flawed.
Yes.
But if you are an innocent consumer, you buy a bottle of this and you've read that natural wines are the bee's knees, then you can be confused when you have a wine that is not what you're used to drinking.
So my philosophy here on the store is, earning the customers' confidence and respect takes a long time, and to lose it happens just like that.
Yeah.
So all of the wines that we bring in,
Mm-hmm.
they're tasted either by me, John Ellison, Lindsay, Jesse.
Yeah.
They have to meet certain criteria. Otherwise, they're not in the
Right.
store. I'll just let somebody else sell them. I'm not interested in pissing off a customer and losing them.
Yeah, I mean, so you're kissing the frogs, and that is really the case with wines at Raw. Is they're often some of the most compelling, complex, like intellectually challenging wines you've ever had. They've got textural characteristics that are unlike conventionally made wines.
Correct.
And they're really, really thrilling. And we want you to try them, right? It's very important that the consumer know what natural and orange wines are like and what's special.
Yeah, you can actually look in the back of the labels. I think there's like 30 organizations in France alone, from Terrace Vitis to Bio to Demeter, Ecocer. I mean, there's a ton of them. They're all on the label. And some people don't join those clubs because it costs money, and then you have to be audited along the way. So they may follow it, but they're not part of the members. So that's kind of our little blurb on organic. Anything else you want to say?
Well, I just say try everything. Try it, especially if it's on the shelves at Marquee. It's past the frog kissing test. But be adventuresome. Give them a try. They're massively meaningful in the world, and it really is. It's a tidal wave that's sweeping the world.
It is, and I think that'd be a good tasting for next year at the store.
Yeah, I think so too.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. Appreciate it, and happy drinking.